Hey everyone, Michael here. Today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin's outlook for July, as well as the worsening economic conditions because many believe that we're headed for a recession or we're already in one. The most important chart you guys need to be keeping your eyes on right now is the Nasdaq. Let me explain why here. We've talked about the monthly chart with the 200 weekly moving average, and this is that same chart. We are about $550 away from breaking down below the 200 weekly moving average here. Now, historically, before we break down though, we do have a month of bouncing. You'll see back over here in 2000, we had a nice little bounce for a few months. And over here in July 2008, we actually had a bounce for a few months here. Maybe the economy is so bad that we do not have a bounce. But if you guys are hoping for a more prosperous July where we have a major reverse, we'll go back up towards, $25,000 plus. The Nasdaq is really going to have to make a move and bounce off of this moving average. And that may happen sometime this week. That may happen sometime next week, but it should happen fairly soon. The downside to this, of course, is we're only $550 away from it. If we do actually break down below this level without the bounce, I think you will see the Nasdaq start to come down fairly hard, very fast, just like what we saw during the 2008 financial crisis and over here in the dot-com bubble, okay? It might not be as drastic, but it should still be pretty bad because you will see an all-out rout and maybe a pure capitulation, which can make things a lot easier for us in the future. So far in 2022, Bitcoin has been very easy to trade if you guys have been willing to actually open up some short positions here. We've seen breakdowns, breakouts if you want to go long, breakdowns, one breakout there. You can see there's more opportunities to make money right now if you guys learn how to short. The cool thing about what could happen right now, since the Nasdaq is technically at that major support level, and if we do bounce, we may actually see some type of adjustment where the trend line isn't like this after the last breakdown we just traded, but more like this, and then we can try to curl back up and try to break out above that 20-day moving average. And if we're able to do that with the July bounce coming from the Nasdaq, what you guys could expect is probably Bitcoin going back up to at least 22,000, and then if we have more of a positive, robust growth, then we might be seeing that we may be able to come back up towards $25,000. But at this point, that's kind of out there. Our main focus would just be getting back above this 20-day moving average here. A couple levels of support you guys do need to be aware of here. First of all, we have the Fibonacci circle level. This is your typical Bitcoin Fibonacci circle on the daily chart. And you can see so far, we have yet to actually close down below this level. Very, very close. But if we are going to break down below, you guys will know, I think, by Sunday. So by the end of this weekend, if we do break down below this for even one day, I think that's going to be a very bearish sign for July. So I think you guys are going to have a pretty clear indication of which way we're going to be going pretty early on in the month. And then from there, you might just go back to this chart and say, hey, now that we have another trend line here, if we break down below this, guess what? I'm going all in shorts. Let's take it down. And then we have to worry about that next level of support around $15,000, $14,000. And then from there, you can, shut those shorts out and take your profits to the bank here. So you guys have probably seen the data out already today talking about how Atlanta Federal Reserve has been estimating that the GDP growth for America during the last quarter was at negative 1%. And if you combine that with the 1.6% loss we had in the first quarter, that means technically we are currently in a recession. Okay. So what does that mean going forward? If we're in a recession and Jerome Powell is going to continue to raise rate hikes, right? That is going to make the recession worse, and you might actually see the labor market actually loosen up a little bit, which I think is the goal of the Federal Reserve after all. So be careful as far as any major investments you guys are looking at. One of the reasons why everybody's so bearish from just a fundamental standpoint is because the economy is getting worse, not better. And until we see the inflation data start to stagnate or come down, it's going to be much, much harder for us to check all this stuff out and kind of have a better understanding of when the market may turn back around. And the key to that is we have to wait for the Federal Reserve to signal, hey, things are getting better, we're going to slow down. The minute they do that, that's where you guys are going to be able to jump in like ravenous dogs on Bitcoin, get as much as you can for all of your altcoins, and you will see the market stagnate for a little bit before ultimately taking it back off